Not every monster breeder or creature catcher game with very minimal customization is a Spore-like. Or Spore's successor. There's something that has been particularly annoying to me for some time now, and it's that. A pretty minor, trivial thing, I know, but that might as well be this channel's brand and philosophy at this point. Anyway, mostly the cause for my irritation is, well, of course, Spore, or more specifically, the lack thereof with anything new or updates-wise. I played Spore around the time it released way back in the day, as many people did. Hours upon hours, it very well could be my most played title of all time. Don't worry, this video isn't going to be my life story or a bunch of personal and anecdotal yapping though. Just a little of that. Anyway, throughout my childhood, until maybe 5 or so years ago, which is when I stopped playing the game off and on, and I haven't really touched it since, I've thought, man, why hasn't there been a good Spore successor? Or maybe a full-on overhauled Spore remake or remaster, or a good sequel. An opinion, not unique to myself, but valid nonetheless. I mean, there's really no excuse in opposition. At least, no excuse that makes sense to me. Some people might shout,
It takes too long. It's costly. Just play Spore.
And I say, if it was done in 2008, it can definitely be done, and done with far greater visuals and functionality today. It's easier to make video games today than it was back then, more or less. And no, settling for mediocrity is not the answer. It never is. A more reasonable criticism towards this video right now would actually be directed towards people like me, who say it's easier to do that nowadays, to make video games nowadays, but then I just don't get off my ass and do it anyway. Which, honestly, fair, I'll accept that criticism, but for now, let me keep bitching. Anyway, none of this is to say Spore is a bad or mediocre game, even today, right now. More so just that people who say,
just play the old, buggy, outdated, dead, barely thriving, not updated old content, dude,
is a dumbass statement. Spore, I believe, has aged decently well, all things considered, and evidently there has been a resurgence every couple of years within its now somewhat niche community of people who still play for the love of the game, or to relive the glory days, making masterpieces in the creature creator nonstop. This video isn't a review of Spore though, and it's not a criticism of the game itself or the fact that EA sucks so much ass they don't utilize anything except their dumbass sports ball games and I don't know, Sims. I think they own that. They also fucked that up. I also won't blow hot air about how Spore was supposed to make you feel like a god before EA stupidly rushed it. That's already been stated a bunch, and I mean, they didn't fuck it up that bad. You still feel like a god to an extent. But to an exhausting degree, it has already been stated how badly EA sucks, so I won't focus on that in this video. I actually want to look at something else that's been a little obnoxious to me, and a topic I personally haven't seen anyone else dive into, or even dabble in any capacity, probably because it's a bit of a nothing burger that only I would cover. But fuck, it's annoying enough to me that I don't know, it's probably annoying to like 5 other people out there. So whatever, here we are. I would like for devs of game studios, big or small, to stop calling your pseudo-Pokemon, Digimon, gameplay, whatever monster breeder, monster catcher, terrarium game, a Spore-like. And actually, you know what? I doubt this is even realistically a dev problem. But probably just those channels on YouTube that play a bunch of new releases and still do Let's Plays on YouTube. I think game journalists are probably the ones doing this. The reason this fucking ultra first world life of leisure ass problem is obnoxious to me though, is because some of us, me and me again, really do hope that a Spore 2, and I mean an actual Spore 2, is on the horizon, and it is disheartening, debilitating even. The most annoying thing to click on a video that looks like this, maybe my fault in the first place, and then the gameplay is bootleg Pokemon with like minor character creature customization elements. No, that's not Spore. And if you think that's Spore, then you probably played the Wii and DS games exclusively and never touched the PC version. There was a beautiful, complex formula that went into Spore that really did make you feel kinda like a god of your own personal little self-contained digital terrarium where you got the tweak evolution and all that, and it was fucking amazing. It was one of my favorite things to do at the time. Whenever I'd go to school, I would actually just think about Spore and how I can't wait to get back home and fuck around in Spore. But anyway, even disregarding the massive fumbling of EA.
Okay, we start version of, I think is my egg here, procedurally. Now this guy has a life cycle very much like and kind of modify it. So this is a bit later in the game. Kind of Mr. Potato Head, erector set, and clay.
This game turned out really cool. Anyway, EA fumbled this in that they allowed it to be shipped against the devs' wishes. The devs were working on a bunch of other things to put in it at the time, like plant creation and a fish stage, and probably a few other things. But yeah, a true Spore game is going to make you feel like a god. It is going to give you as much control as possible over the environments and aesthetics and whatnot, as that is what made the original game fun. Like, this shit was so much of what appealed to people in the original game. The fact that you had this, like, somewhat watered down, easier to learn 3D modeler built into the game to literally make your creature, to mold it into whatever shape you wanted. And this allowed for so many different possibilities, every single one unique and beautiful, of course. Which again is drastically different than, and I'm dying on this hill, but it's drastically different than a couple color options and being able to switch out a few body parts. It's like a quarter of what made Spore. Spore excelled in its user contribution and creation elements, not just the creature and evolution aspects, but as the game progressed and you got to create your outfits and whatnot in the later game stages, the vehicles, etc., till finally you reach civilization, and then the best stage, objectively, where you were able to build your own spaceship and head off into the stars, where you got to play an entirely new game within the game you've already been playing. At least that's effectively what it felt like at the time, for me. It was badass. So if I see a video with a title that says, "Is this Spore's successor?" or "Is this the real sequel, better than Spore?" that video had better not fucking be another monster catcher game with the most minimal fucking creature modification creation of all time. Because I haven't bombed a parking lot yet, but I mean, if you're going to title your game or market it as a successor to Spore, or in any way a superior product to Spore, then it better be one. I'm talking down to the pixel-perfect adjustments of your creature creation. This game, if it's truly a superior Spore, should come shipped out the box not only looking nicer and having all the creation elements of Spore and or improved with somehow more customization options, that shit better get the plant creation and fish stage in it too out the box. Because again, not to rehash this so fucking much, but Spore is about making. You get to be God. You, the player, you are creating practically everything, and then nudging it along in this timeline, and or at the very least, that is Spore. I mean, yeah, that's what it is. You get to occasionally step in and alter the timeline and the way the creatures evolve, and it's very cool in that sense. As far as what game journalists do, I don't know. I don't think anything can fix them, really. They're probably going to keep running on this, since it gets clicks, kind of like calling every medieval or high fantasy RPG Skyrim or a Skyrim-like. But Spore was ambitious. Nowadays it's not as well known, but again it still has somewhat of a niche community of like super fans, but at the time it was really something to keep your eye out for. All of what it promised, and it mostly delivered. But a Spore sequel, or a true successor to Spore, is not just, ooh, you get to change a preset creature color and maybe swap out its eyes for like another pair of eyes in 15 different presets that don't have any other customization options. And it's definitely not the combat. The true successor to Spore, and what will be Spore 2, is going to be something actually ambitious, something where you're staking a lot on it. You put a lot of work and money into it, and where that shit has a creature customization function that is almost just like playing in sculpting mode in Blender, where you can craft your own plants, and then litter the world with them and continuously nudge all of these creatures into different evolutionary paths. And where there's an emphasis on creating things down to like pixel detail. That is going to be Spore 2. Alright, I think that's all I have. I really don't know how much more I can jam in this video, especially over this topic. I just wanted to kind of bitch a little bit about this. I'm not gonna say it's like the biggest problem of our time, but an annoyance that has pestered my subconscious, and it's been a drive of mine. I find myself actively partaking in it the past couple of days. I just kept thinking about it. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna bitch about it. So here we are. But anyways, with that, lads, I will see you again soon, maybe. I don't know. that I'm ever going to have a consistent schedule. But yeah, have a good one.